Hello, and welcome to this very special episode of Rocket Fuel, your daily update for everything that's happening in the Rocket Fuel community. So today's episode is very special because it is about a Coinbase listing that happened, and I will get into why I'm making this episode today instead of there just being a regular episode on Monday. So it started with this tweet from Shane Fontaine, who says, shared this tweet. It says, assets listed to the roadmap today: Magic, Rocket Pool, RPL, and Aragon, ANT. So this was yesterday at just after noon on US Eastern Time, so in the evening in Europe. So let's have a look at the tweet. So this is a tweet from Coinbase Assets, and it says listed onto the roadmap. So we'll talk about what that means a little bit, but like you can see, the usual people from our community were liking and retweeting this tweet. So there's Bossy and Marceau and Rocket Pool Intern and Dab and Bossy again and Rocket Pool Intern, and a lot of people responded to this tweet. There are a lot of people really happy with this tweet. Memes of the Rocket Pool rocket taking off. Absolutely great to see that our community was all Rocket Pool stuff before it got to other things. So that was really, really wonderful to see. So let's have a look at the post that Coinbase put out. It says increasing transparency for new asset listings on Coinbase, and this blog was updated as of July 1st to reflect our previously disclosed positions here, blah blah blah. And it says roadmap. The roadmap will be made here and announced via official Twitter account. And then it says the following assets are planned to be listed on Coinbase: ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum network, Aragon, ANT, Avagotchi, GHST, Rocket Pool RPL, and Litontree, Lit. And there's a contract address. So basically, Coinbase and I guess Binance as well, but Coinbase is like the second biggest exchange around the world. It's huge. The community was extremely excited. Like the Kraken thing was like whatever, like it was, we were excited about that and stuff, and it was really good, but it wasn't to the level of Coinbase, right? And already people are extremely excited and way happier with this than they were about any Kraken listing before. So it was really, really wonderful to see. So what happens? Basically, the price starts going up. So this was a few minutes after the news broke. The ratio was 0.01551, and then over the next little while, we see that. Let me actually show you over here from the ping server. We see that the price went all the way up to here was the high on this move up, 0.1614. So it made a good like 5% nearly increase against ETH, and an even bigger increase than dollar price. I think 8 or 9% on the dollar price, which was fantastic to see. So we talked about this a couple of days ago that there's been an upward trajectory, and I'm going to come talk to about that in a little bit as well. So now what happens next, right? So if the Coinbase listing is happening, then people started looking at what the areas of resistance might be on the way up. So let me just explain where we are right now. Let me see if I actually have that here or not. Yeah. So this is a comment by me. It says Thomas's wall is from 0.015 on the ETH ratio to 0.025 on the ETH ratio. So that's Thomas's wall. And then there's another wall on top of that, which is the one that Patches here brought up the bot for, which is a 1-inch sell wall. So this sell wall is for 25,000 RPL, and it's between 0.0161 and 0.0170. So that is like, a 4% increase wall that we'll be eating into. However, we've started eating into that already. So this is an old bot bringing up. So I said then we've got the 1-inch wall there, and then on top of that, I think there's a hidden 1-inch wall from 0.017 to 0.02, which is the wall that we had a couple of months ago that we were struggling to eat through as we came down from the all-time high. So there's going to be some resistance. There's going to be some extra RPL to buy through if you want to reach all-time highs again. But that just gives an idea of what makes that path ahead easy or hard. So that's definitely something to look out for. Although Rocket Luke made a good point, saying that the wall that we're just about on the edge of right now is going to expire in a few days, and then the wall that was there previously from 0.017 to 0.02 already expired. So that wall is technically not there now. But as you can see from Patches' bot, the person has 209,000 RPL in their wallet. So it might be likely that all of that gets sold on the way up to 0.02. So there's a lot of RPL to be bought in between those numbers. The good thing about that is if people want to do big buys, then they won't have as much slippage if they're selling on CowSwap. So if they're buying on CowSwap, that's the place to do it if you want to get into position before the Coinbase listing, if you want to try to trade that. Not that this is financial advice at all. So something really great happened. So this is the Rocket Pool ping server. And right after the news went live, a few minutes later, Marcy came into there and said, amazing, congrats guys. So I think everyone was really happy to see Marcy, not in trading, of course, but like trading adjacent kind of in the ping server. So this is the chat in the ping server. If you want access to the ping server, just ask in trading and someone will be able to send you a link. We only really allow people in there who have an established history of posting in the Rocket Pool channel. And we only want people in there, humans in there. So Marcy, was congratulating everyone on that listing, which was really wonderful. And then he also tweeted about it saying, gradually, then suddenly, with a clap. And then people were like, he got a lot of likes and retweets for that, which is really cool to see as well. So I think, this is the beginning of hopefully a nice push into Atlas coming in February, and then into withdrawals for like Rocket Pool, the protocol as a whole, not just on top of the Coinbase listing, but also all the protocol stuff that's happening, which is going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited about that. So next was this really interesting thing where on Rocket Fuel a few days ago, I talked about Zero buying back in. And when he bought back in, at the time he said he's buying because there's a Coinbase listing coming, which he goes on to say that he was just joking and it was just coincidence. But he bought 6 figures basically right before the news broke. He bought like 3 days ago, so he got a really good deal there. Like it worked out really nicely for Zero. So sneaky. A lot of people were saying, how did Zero know, and what was going on. But he was just then started playing up about calling it. But he admitted later that and he says 3 days ago that he bought. But he later admitted that he was just joking and that it was just luck that it happened like that. So congrats to Zero. That's really good. Good luck on your trade. So this Coinbase thing didn't just happen overnight, right? There's this screenshot that Pateris shared from the forum, the forum, the DAO forum, and it's a post from Langers replying to Marcy saying, hey Marcy, Rocket Pool listing application has been filed with Coinbase. We submitted the application almost 9 months ago, and this was in June. So the whole process took over a year. And then he says, we've been taking follow-up questions from Coinbase as regularly as a couple of weeks ago. So the team was kind of aware of this. I don't know if they were aware of the fact that, the listing was going to get onto the roadmap now, but the team was definitely aware of this process kind of happening, but it's taken a really long time. So yeah, it's taken a really long time for that to happen. Let me just skip ahead on this one and then I'll come back to it. So, Ludi says, the pumping all week was Coinbase insiders. So for those of you who literally in yesterday's episode, I think yesterday or the day before's episode, we talked about how, Rocket Pool token has been on a really good move since the FTX bottom, the local bottom that we had at 0.0116. We've moved up really strongly from there, way more than ETH, and we didn't go down that much. We didn't hit new lows from where we were in the summer. So Rocket Pool's been really strong in that time. So Ludi says, so the pumping all week was Coinbase insiders. And that actually brought up an interesting discussion because Rocket Luke here says, their trading division was dismissed. It says it's also irrational for Coinbase to buy, risking so much insider trading for so little. And then he goes on to say, Looking for Owl says, yes, it was insiders. But then Rocket Luke says, how do you know? You can easily see on chain that significant portion of the recently bought RPL was by node operators, not speculators per se. So when you look at the big buys that came in for RPL, a lot of that was being bought and then staked. So you can't really say that this was, you can't really say that this was Coinbase insiders who were buying. It was more of that and then Rocket Luke says it's just really unlikely that someone was insider trading it, and I kind of agree with that as well. So especially since there's been controversy with Coinbase people doing insider trading before, I think that's something they're really going to clamp down on now. They don't want to get that negative publicity again. So the next thing here we have is this post from Galenus, sorry, who says the biggest thing here is when people ask me how to buy RPL, I don't have to give a long, convoluted answer. So this is actually like one of the big advantages now of the Coinbase listing. So Thomas made a really good point that he doesn't think it's going to impact node operators that much. And the reason for that is like node operators are people who are already quite technologically savvy, and they're already people who are quite well versed in like Ethereum environment in the ecosystem. So the barrier for them for entry of having to go to Uniswap or 1inch or CowSwap, etc., to buy RPL is actually not that high. So they what they can do is it's not really for those people, right? This is for people who are scared of venturing out into the Wild West on their own. So for those people, who might be interested in the Rocket Pool token, who might kind of have some idea about it because of, coming across it, people talking about it in the past, now you can just tell them to go and buy on Coinbase, which I think is going to be a really, really big thing, especially since they've literally got hundreds of millions of users around the world. I think like a lot of users around the world. So I think that's going to be really exciting for that reason. Another thing is as well is that like if you go back to their blog post, it says that they do a lot of due diligence, and they do a lot of checks to make sure that the products they're listing are they're legally allowed to trade those in that jurisdiction. So I think that will add a layer of legitimacy as well to the Rocket Pool protocol and the Rocket Pool token, which I'm really excited to see as well, because legitimacy is so important, especially for newer entries into the people who are newer into the market, and they'll be able to buy RPL now on one of the easiest ways possible. Another great thing about this is as well is you can set up an automatic DCA, which is dollar cost averaging. So Coinbase gives you the option to just automatically buy a token every week or every day or every month, whatever time period you want, at whatever price it is for however many dollars you want, or whatever the currency that you use. So that will actually make it really easy as well for people to do like a no-brainer dollar cost averaging. I think that's going to be really wonderful to see as well. So there's a lot of positives, even though it might not impact the people who are watching this channel right now that much. It will impact people who are just on the edges of our community, or people who are hearing about Rocket Pool from their friends and family members. So it's really great. Okay, next we had this comment from Baked Ent saying these centralized exchanges list Rocket Pool themselves, right? The team isn't paying any listing fees. So this brought up a nice conversation as well, where Rocket Luke was giving some good information. He was saying it's no longer 2018, 2019. And what he meant by that is like listing on Binance and Coinbase are without an explicit fee. So people kind of had this idea that in the past Binance were like, even Baked in here saying Coinbase, I believe, Binance, no way in hell. So like there's this idea that, you'd have to pay a lot of money to get your tokens listed on Binance in the past. However, Rocket Luke says, actually only Binance has said this explicitly, that they don't take any payment for listing tokens now. And he said, I'm just saying Coinbase probably as well. So then Meek came in at some point and he was explaining how it works. And basically like the big exchanges now don't want the negative publicity of seeming like they're selling listings. So they're not accepting payment for it anymore. I guess that's one of the reasons why they take so long to list tokens now, is because they want to do their full due diligence instead of just taking whoever pays the most amount of money. There are, of course, exchanges out there that do take money, but as far as I'm aware, and I think that this is like, universally known, is that the Rocket Pool team does not pay for any listings, has never paid for any listings, which is one of the reasons why it took them so many years to get onto any exchanges at all. So let's have a look at what's next. Yeah, I'm sorry in advance for this. So Phiz says, I was told there would be a POAP, right? And then I replied to Phiz by saying, there will be one if you make it and get it out. So then what does Phiz do? Phiz makes a thread saying, I'll send 10 RPL to the best POAP design shared in here in the next 2.5 hours. You'll need to tag me and I'll do the picking. If I don't choose one, then we'll find another way. So he creates a little thread and people in here start posting their designs. And let me show you what the winning design was. So this POAP right here, I'm sorry about your eyes if you're watching this, and congratulations for those who are listening on podcast, is a picture of Kane's face on top of a pregnant woman wearing orange clothes with a Rocket Pool logo on the chest and saying had sex. So it's basically implying that the Rocket Pool team had CEX, sex, centralized exchange. And there's like, it looks like a kid smoking a cigar with a Coinbase logo on their head. And then there's a baby and it says malformed trading brain head. And then there's it's really bad. it's just, this is, I called it an abomination and also the most amazing POAP. So Phiz distributed it through checkout system, and all the proceeds from that went to let me see, sorry, Grime. It's RPL Grime, who I think was getting $5 per POAP for that. So congratulations on that, RPL Grime. That was truly an amazing POAP, and I'm glad that I minted it, even though it's an abomination of a POAP. So Sleety then shared some really good information about what this means. So he says it took Lido 34 days from getting onto the roadmap status to being listed on the actual exchange. So what Sleety did was went on the Wayback Machine and checked all the different dates when the information was listed, and then gathered that information and checked, how long it took from roadmap status to tradable. So for us, if it took 34 days from yesterday, that will take us like January 5th, I think. Yeah, January 5th. So there's a chance that it might be listed before Christmas, but it'll either be like in the week before Christmas or in the first week of January that it would work if it followed the same roadmap. However, because there might be holidays over the Christmas period and New Year's, it might be that it gets listed in like the second week of January. However, it should be within the next 5 to 6 weeks at the very most. Hopefully within the next 3 weeks. I think that's the best case. With 3 weeks is the best case, with 6 weeks being the worst case scenario. So that's really exciting. So the next thing that Sleety did was found this chart for the Lido price, the LDO token price, and the roadmap listing happened on October 15th or somewhere around there, and then the listing happened on November 16th. As you can see, the price of the token kind of pumped a little bit in the first few days after the announcement, but then it came down, and then this is where the FTX drama was happening. So it really took a hard hit, and then it kind of recovered basically to the same price it was at on the roadmap listing day. So I think if it was at the same price after taking in all that FTX drama, it might be safe to assume that, we can expect a nice price increase. And of course, this is not trading advice at all. We can expect a nice a price increase, provided that there is no crypto-wide factor that's going to impact the price of all assets. Because if that happens, then RPL will suffer on the ratio as against ETH, because when it goes up, it's like leveraged ETH, but when it goes down, it's like leveraged ETH as well. So it goes down in an outsized manner. But worst case scenario is, I think, even if we have some kind of crypto-wide impact, it might be that we can kind of hold on to the price that we're at now, which is really great to see, because 0.016 is very respectable. And I'm hoping that this news will be one step in the chain reaction leading up to Atlas and withdrawals. That's going to be an extremely bullish period for the RPL token. So the idea that I have is basically, we've had a pump, we've had an increase in price since the FTX crash, and since then we've reacted really strongly and gone up more than 20%, more than 30%, which is fantastic. And then we got this listing. So by the time January comes around, we can hopefully increase price a little bit based on that. Then in February, we'll have Atlas going live, which will mean LEB8s, which hopefully should mean that more people buy RPL to or set up their LEB8s, because it's going to be a really bullish period. And then the most bullish period, I think, for Rocket Pool will be once withdrawals go live on the Ethereum network, which at the moment, tentatively, it might be March. So these are setting up dominoes over the next few months for really good things to happen. So I'm extremely excited about the next 4 to 5 months for Rocket Pool. I think it's going to be really good. Of course, as always, this is not trading advice. That's just my own perspective. And of course, I've been wrong before, but maybe I'll be wrong with this as well, but I hope not. So finally, you might be saying, hey, Whack, it's a Saturday. What are you doing recording an episode on Saturday? You take the weekends off. So what happened yesterday was I completed my research about 15 minutes before the Coinbase news broke. And I was actually recording yesterday's episode as the news was breaking and trading was going crazy. I had no idea until after I finished recording and checked trading. And I was like, what? This Coinbase listing? So I was kind of flabbergasted. So what happened was, I was like, sadly, I recorded Rocket Fuel before the Coinbase news. Regardless, here is today's episode for you all. And then Brent said, can you just add a second recording, like 8 seconds, saying too closely into your mic? Also, Coinbase will add RPL, baby. And then Bossy was like, sorry, delete and record. And I said, I'll record a special episode tomorrow because I'm too behind from December 18th being 100th episode target because of Thanksgiving. And Bossy says, no, do it now, no excuses. And I said, I'm not a dancing monkey. And Bossy says, Whack, I'm joking. But then I, being me, said, give me 100 Rocket Fuel emojis on this and I'll record a special episode just about Coinbase. So then all being degens that you are, give me 119 rockets and 108 fuels. So I got 108 rocket fuels. And that means I'm recording this episode. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. It was certainly a wonderful day in trading yesterday. Not just for the Coinbase news, but also for the RPL benefactor, like just raining down RPL. But I'll cover that on Monday's episode. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about in that regard. तो ठीक है, अब मैं ये किस्त ख़त्म करता हूँ और 2 दिन बाद मैं फिर आऊँगा और आपके साथ बात करूँगा. बाय.